Good morning, everybody. Happy hump day to you on this Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. I got all your stories for your rush hour ride to work. We'll start with Mark Sanchez. Updates from the prosecutor as he has been arrested, charged with battery. And then we've got Zach Bryan in the news, country musician. He's an outlaw, baby. He has divided country musician fans over his anti-ICE lyrics. I'll share my thoughts on that. And then Laura Owens she's always in the news, right? Her former attorney, who worked for free for her, I guess, because he wanted to help a damsel in distress out. I don't know. Well, he has written a scathing motion smearing one of my friends, content creator Lauren Knighty. We're going to get into what he had to say. It's absolutely crazy. And then we'll talk about the $5,000 bribe that the border czar may or may not have taken. Nobody's denying that he took the bribe, I guess. So we'll have to see what happens with the congressional grilling that went down there. And then we'll have some updates on the government shutdown. All these stories and more starts right now on The Rush. All right, so stick around for this Laura Owens stuff. I guess my TikTok's been going viral. We've got about 1 million folks who watched several of the reels as we're continuing to discuss this. We'll jump into that in a second. How about this story? Cowboys owner Jerry Jones fined $250,000 for flashing the middle finger, the report says. He says it was an unfortunate gesture and it was inadvertent. Well, most times when you flash the middle finger, it's inadvertent. It just kind of happens, you know what I mean? You can't do anything about it, and the next thing you know, it comes up. But boy, that's a lot of cheddar for a digit, right? Well, let's go to, speaking of NFL, let's go to, and by the way, he can afford it. He's got that gold money. He's got that liquid gold, right? That Texas oil. Well, here's Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez has a net worth of $40 million for now, but he is getting sued by the guy he beat to a pulp. Here's what prosecutors have had to say about upgrading the charges against him. Have a listen.
Spoken to Mark Sanchez?
No, I mean, we're legally prohibited from doing that. Certainly he's got an absolute right against self-incrimination, whether or not.
But detectives can ask him what happened, right?
Well, but I think it's important to remember he was significantly injured in this particular incident. When medical personnel arrived on scene, their focus is trying to offer help and make sure that they're in a position to offer as much assistance as possible.
Now, Mark Sanchez was injured. He was hospitalized with stab wounds. And so when it then came out that he was also arrested, you saw what happened to the other guy. I mean, it was ugly. And the other guy was twice his age, right? Mid-60s against a 38-year-old former quarterback, professional athlete. Pretty wild stuff. So they've upgraded the charges. He's facing 1 to 6 years in jail.
And so someone has to be in a position to offer a statement. And so in both of these situations, with both the victim and Mr. Sanchez, they were immediately taken into medical treatment. They received pretty significant medical treatment. So individuals weren't in a position to provide a statement.
Have you done toxicology? The truck driver says that Mark Sanchez smelled strongly of alcohol. But his behavior, there are reports from witnesses that he was running wind sprints in the alley. This is midnight Friday night. It's very odd behavior. Was he on drugs of some kind?
Well, that's one of the things that we're going to continue to look into. It's protected health information, so it's not something where we can just go to the doctor's office and get that information. There's a process for acquiring.
He was running wind sprints in the alley. Folks, that's called cocaine. He was trying to start a new business venture. He was trying to start a podcast in the alley. That's cocaine. He maybe had some Celsius energy drink. I don't know. So there it is. I guess eyewitnesses. So that explains why he wanted the guy to move his truck, right? He was fighting against this guy, wanted the guy to move his truck. And it's like, what the heck was he doing in the alley? It was the night or 2 nights before he was supposed to work as a commentator. So get a good night's sleep, right? The NFL is probably paying for your room service. If I'm traveling on the company dime, it's room service. I'm hanging out watching alien documentaries on TV. That's it. That's all I'm doing. I'm not running wind sprints in the alley. Try hard. But seriously, I don't know what drugs he was on. And maybe that might be the one thing that saves him. To say, look, I was completely out of my mind. It happened. I was drugged. I don't know. But again, we'll have to see what the toxicology report says. All right, I got one more football story. This is just a sweet one here. This was posted by ESPN. Really sweet. So in May of 2025, this lady, Sandy Hawkins Combs, wrote this, I guess, on Facebook. I had the most wonderful flight home from Denver. I met the nicest young man who sat next to me. He offered to put my bag in the overhead compartment and help me with my tray. He was always polite, saying yes ma'am, no ma'am. Anyone would be proud to have him as a son or grandson. So polite. People walking by were saying congratulations, great job, or even taking pictures. I turned and asked him, who am I sitting next to? I looked at his Jaguar pants, smiled, and asked, are you an athlete? He smiled and said, I'm Travis. Yes, I was drafted by the Jags. I already told my sons I want his jersey. He's so humble and down to earth, I would have never guessed he was a professional athlete. Jacksonville Jags, you did good. I will be buying tickets. United Airlines, thank you for my seat assignment. And that was the photo of them right there, May of 2025. What a nice story. Well, it doesn't end there. Here's October of 2025. This past weekend, Travis Hunter reunited with the woman who was seated beside him on the plane after getting drafted. I look forward to hearing updates. Invite her to Thanksgiving. Isn't that nice? So many stories out there that divide us. If it bleeds, it leads. It's good to see the stories of humanity that do exist. And this is a guy, Travis Hunter. I'm sure he got a bag, a lot of money. Sure, he's a professional athlete now, and not forgetting where he came from. So we're proud of you, guy. I don't know anything about you, but it was a fun story to read. Zach Bryan is under fire. MAGA upset with a new song he has released where he speaks out against ICE. I'm going to share his post right here. The fading of the red, white, and blue. This is what he posted. He dropped the lyrics. I'll play a couple in a second. It pissed people off. But in response to the outrage machine that exists, someone says, people are mad at Zach Bryan for dropping anti-ICE lyrics like country music wasn't always anti-authority before Jason Aldean decided to Nancy Reagan the boot. So again, you're going to get a lot of people having different comments about Zach Bryan and the lyrics that he posted. Here's John Rich. Zach Bryan has every right to record a song bashing law enforcement, and fans have every right to keep supporting his career or not. Capitalism isn't cancellation. Who knows? Maybe there's a large anti-law enforcement wing of the country music fan base. We'll soon find out. Very odd to me that a fellow musician would want to knock him so badly, right? And then someone commented, anti-law enforcement is a bedrock of country music, you dumb mother effer. And then others says, there's overlap between NASCAR fans and country music fans. NASCAR's origins are in bootlegging. Listen to some outlaw country. Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, David Allan Coe, lots of F the police vibes. So yeah, fans are torn on it. And by the way, Zach is allowed to state his opinion. Country music artist Zach Bryan is a U.S. Navy veteran, served 8 years, enlisting at 17, achieving the rank of aviation ordnanceman, second class. He served in locations including Florida, Washington, overseas before receiving an honorable discharge in 2021 to pursue his full-time music career. Bryan's military experience and family legacy of serving significantly influenced his music and career. You know what? I really like this guy. He's willing to share his opinion and not be afraid of, pushing away fans that don't understand where he's coming from. Speaking of bootlickers, here's Benny Johnson, conservative commentator, said country superstar Zach Bryan takes aim at ICE, claiming the country is fading in a snippet from his upcoming song, Bad News. Here's a very quick clip. We don't want to get taken down.
Don't stop showing, got some bad news. The fading of a red, white.
So there it is. Bad news, fading of the red, white, and blue. Cocky mother effers, ain't they? And ICE is going to come, bust down your door, the fading of the red, white, and blue. By the way, he drew over 112,000 fans. And again, Benny says, it was the largest concert in U.S. history. Now that will never happen again. When will they learn? So this is people fighting the culture war, wanting the cancellation of a great artist. Some folks, who is this guy? He's a no-name. No, he's one of the biggest folks out there, and he's very much allowed to share his opinion. John Rich continues, who's ready for the Zach Bryan Dixie Chicks tour? Probably a huge Bud Light sponsorship for this one. Listen, I don't know if it's the lead paint, but are these guys broken? First of all, the Dixie Chicks spoke out against a war where, in due time, just about everyone realizes the Dixie Chicks were right. And they say that they're not against cancel culture. The Dixie Chicks, now the Chicks, were absolutely canceled because the whole country music industry was controlled by gatekeeping radio folks, right? So I here am in support of Zach Bryan. And listen, good on him for sharing his opinion. ICE, a bunch of masked people that are pushing down moms and getting in the, pepper spraying innocent protesters. He's on the right side of history right now. Here's video of Homeland Security spraying a 19-year-old just right in her face. Look at this. Peacefully protesting. They just go. I mean, listen, these are somebody's dads, someone's brothers, and this is the way they're treating Americans and women and peaceful protesters. Good on Zach Bryan. All right, when we come back, speaking of things that might piss you off, I'm going to share updates on Laura Owens. The case is completely blowing up on TikTok now that we've got our body cam footage. This story after a quick word from our sponsor. Today's episode of the Rush Hour podcast is sponsored by Upside. It is a free app that gets you cash back for purchases you're already making at gas stations, restaurants, convenience marts, grocery stores. It's unbelievable. How it works is you just go to the app. It's free. You type in where you live, and it shows you literally all of the thousands of different options, from saving 65 cents per gallon to, look at this, Five Guys, burger and fries, 38% cash back. You just buy the food, the gas with your credit card, then you upload the receipt through the app, and it's money, cold hard cash, straight back to your bank account. No confusing rewards, points, or credits. Actual money that you will transfer into your pocket. $1 million in cash back is being earned by users every week. Upside has given back $1 billion to its users. To find out how much you could earn, download the free Upside app and use promo code RUSHHOUR to get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas. That's an extra 25 cents back for every gallon on your first tank of gas using promo code RUSHHOUR. Now let's get back to the show. Well, I've gone and done it. I started to share some content on TikTok regarding Laura Owens now that her body cam footage has been released. And how about that? 775,000 views on one TikTok. Another has over 100,000. I'm doing a whole series now on TikTok where I revisit a lot of the things because there's so many new people that are going, I've never heard of this. And I go, well, look, I've been talking about it for 2 years, but I can only go so far in the YouTube algorithm. Now let's bring in Gen Z on TikTok. So again, as I'm sharing, and by the way, this is, I'm starting every TikTok off with the same 2-second intro. Watch.
Nothing except get pregnant by the fucking Bachelor.
That's the opening scene of the documentary. So anyway, yeah, that will be the opening scene of the documentary. Absolutely. So there she is, Laura Owens. Now, she is trying to get her restraining order renewed with Mike Maricini in San Francisco. Her former attorney, David Gingras, who's got, I don't know, 6, 8, 12, who knows at this point, or so bar complaints against him. He's, I guess, been investigated by the Arizona bar. It's my guess he's going to lose his license over this in one form or another. But either way, he's no longer representing Laura Owens, although he did briefly represent her against Michael Maricini. And he posts the most unhinged 12 pages you're ever going to read in your life. Now, I'm only going to get through about a page or two right now. I'll make a separate video about this because it's deserving of it, but I don't want to give the whole morning rush this content. Introduction. As everyone knows, and by the way, non-party intervener David Gingras reply in support of his motion for leave to intervene. So again, he's not even in the party. He's not even her lawyer, and he just can't not talk. Motion to compel you to go on that long vacation already. Can we do a GoFundMe to raise money to get him on maybe one of those cruises where they don't have internet? Goodbye. Introduction. As everyone knows, motions for sanctions are common. They are routinely denied. In most cases, that's fair when lawyers doth protest too much. This case is very different. To understand why, this court needs to know about something called Justice for Clayton, or JFC. JFC is an online cult devoted to one single purpose: destroying the life of petitioner Laura Owens. By extension, the JFC cult is also obsessed with destroying the career of undersigned counsel. Those allegations may sound paranoid, if not outright delusional. Unfortunately, they are accurate and well supported. The JFC cult operates largely on social media. The cult maintains a Twitter account, which has posted nearly 6,000 times about Miss Owens in the last 2 years. Which, by the way, 6,000 times in 2 years on Twitter? I mean, Laura Owens has posted 6,000 times in a day, virtually, right? I mean, I'm just kidding, but 6,000 is not that much when you're commenting back and forth. The cult maintains an Instagram account which is filled with vile, cruel, disgusting personal attacks against Miss Owens, her family, undersigned counsel, and anyone who dares express the slightest degree of support for her. First of all, no one expresses support for her other than you, her former attorney, and possible, alleged, maybe, I don't know, love interest. We saw a couple chairs sitting next to each other in Laura's casita. Maybe that's where they were doing body shots. Who knows? I mean, I'm just speculating, folks. I don't know. I'm allowed to speculate, right? And I mean, to think that justice for Clayton is vile, cruel, and disgusting. It's like, talk about protesting too much. The JFC cult thrives on inhumane cruelty. One of their favorite pleasures is attacking Miss Owens' physical appearance. And again, listen, I can't control what other people do. I don't do that specifically for this reason right here. Like, I don't want to be in David Gingrish's court filings where my intentions are anything but what they are, which is to provide justice for the victims here. But again, if people want to use mockery, I don't blame people for using mockery. She's destroyed plenty of people's, or at least hurt very much plenty of people's lives. What does this have to do with the issue of sanctions? Respondents counsel Omar is a prominent supporter and participant in the JFC cult. Now, how could you say the fact that David Gingras labels everyone as being in a cult? By the way, he claims to be like an anti-Trump guy, but he's doing the Trump move. You know, he's saying you're either with us or against us. You're either MAGA or you're a rhino, Republican in name only, or you're a wacky, crazy left-wing lunatic, or whatever Trump, name calls people. But the point is when you kind of put everybody in one category, and he's putting everyone in a cult, he's saying that because they're all in this cult, here are all the connections to each other in the cult. What he's not telling everyone is that everybody is on the side of justice for Clayton. Literally everybody. It's like a no-brainer. This is why they're making documentaries about it, because it's just a no-brainer. Now, I don't know what screw is loose. Maybe I don't know, something seeped into his brain that made him think the way he does. Maybe he's got a tapeworm. I have no idea. But the dude's off his rocker if he believes Laura Owens, especially after all of her proven lies. More than that, Mr. Serrato is friends with and frequently collaborates with a key cult leader and instigator named Lauren. Below is a recent photo of them together. I was asked to be at this event. This is for Zach's event here, but I think actually either way, I don't know. Maybe David Gingras is upset at Omar's nice forearms, or the fact that he's the apple of everybody's eye, or maybe he's upset at a strong female personality like Lauren. I have no idea. Either way, I'm going to continue reading all 12 pages of this in another video today, so make sure you're subscribed to check that out. We can't dedicate the whole rush hour to it, but yeah, it's fascinating. We are in support of Lauren. And Nighty here, not the other one, Lauren, whatever. We're in support of Omar and everyone who seeks the truth, really. And look, if you want to believe Laura Owens' side, it's like whatever. But if you want to harass people or gaslight them or not deal in reality, it's like, well. And by the way, for those that might be new to this, nobody is on Laura Owens' side. It's not like it's one side versus the other. It's David Gingras, this petulant loser who has to kind of get the last word and try to use his position as a lawyer to threaten, lawsuits. I mean, he's saying what they're saying is defamatory. It's like, prove the lie then, bitch. Prove the lie. And they, of course, haven't done anything. All bark, no bite. I'll have more on this coming up in the afternoon rush hour. So we're going to move right into some other content here. Pam Bondi, who has been just hearing it from all ends regarding, there's several topics to discuss. So she's the head of the Department of Justice. She is the top lawyer in the country, and yet she refuses to answer anybody's questions. She's asked about her border czar, this guy Tom Homan, who apparently took a cash bribe of $50,000. He doesn't deny taking the bribe when he's confronted about it, and the bribe was for him to give government contracts to people. I mean, it is a immediate fireable offense, and yet her Department of Justice decided not to investigate it. Super, super shady stuff. And the way she does that Darvo thing where she doesn't answer any of the questions, she just slings personal attacks at people, it's absolutely insane.
With Mr. Homan, I mean, first of all, is there a tape that has audio and video of the transfer of the $50,000?
You would have to talk to Director Patel about that.
So he asked if this thing's on video. Apparently, it's on video. The FBI caught this guy accepting a bribe. They don't do that without wearing body cam. So she says, you're going to have to talk to somebody else, even though she's the top dog.
No, I'm talking to you.
I don't know the answer, Senator.
Yet you do know the answer to that.
Don't call me a liar.
I didn't call you a liar.
You just said I know the answer. I said I don't know the answer.
Well,
you have to talk to...
Okay.
Doesn't this feel like arguing with some drunk girl at the bar? How dare you call me out? It's like, do you want a Bud Light or not? You know what I mean? You go listen to some Big and Rich. So here is Senator Hirono asking if she approved of shutting down the bribery investigation.
Approve closing the Homan investigation, bribery investigation. Just get rid of that.
Senator Hirono, as I stated earlier, the Department of Justice and the FBI
Quicker.
conducted a thorough review, and they found no credible evidence of any wrongdoing.
I mean, no credible evidence. Is there a video of him accepting the $50,000? It seems pretty credible to me. Apparently, it was like $50,000 that was in like a fast food bag.
You were also on video outside the White House protesting with a group called CASA, where Antifa members were. Does that mean you're a member of Antifa?
You know, I simply asked the question as to whether or not you approve the shutting down of the investigation, Mr. Homan. I have to assume that you did because the FBI reports to you. But the American people would look at the situation where this person is taking a $50,000 in cash, no less, and you testified today that a thorough investigation was done.
All right, so you know what's interesting? The way Pam Bondi responds, it's like a roast battle. Roast battle, those are the types of things you do when you're, a comedian. Like someone says a roast to you and you respond with a roast back. She literally has a list of like ways to slam people that are asking her questions. It's so insane.
You consulted by the White House before they deployed National Guard troops to cities in the United States?
So here she's asked a super reasonable question, right? The National Guard are being, sent to Chicago from Texas. They're basically creating and fabricating a civil war. That's what they're doing. They're making a civil war out of nothing, having states pitted against each other. These are honest questions to ask somebody. And yet, let's see what the answer is.
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House.
You won't even say whether you talked to the White House about this?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House with you, Ranking Member.
I noticed that. What's the secret? Why do you want to keep this secret? The American people don't know the rationale behind the deployment of National Guard troops in my state. The word is, and I think it's been confirmed by the White House, they are going to transfer Texas National Guard units to the state of Illinois.
Yeah, and those 400 National Guards from Texas are already arriving.
What's the rationale for that?
Yeah, Chairman, as you shut down the government, you voted to shut down the government, and you're sitting here, our law enforcement officers aren't being paid. They're out there working to protect you. I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump. And currently, the National Guard are on the way to Chicago. If you're not going to protect your citizens, President Trump will.
Wow. And by the way, of course, President Trump, not too worried about protecting his country when he got bone spurs when he was drafted in the Vietnam War twice. Can't even remember what foot they were in. What a joke this is.
Committee for more than 20 years. That's the kind of testimony you expect from this administration. A simple question as to whether or not they had a legal rationale for deploying National Guard troops becomes grounds for a personal attack. I think it's a legitimate question. It's my responsibility. She refuses to answer as to whether she had any conversation with the White House about deploying national troops to my state. That's an indication, I'm afraid, where we are politically in this place.
Isn't it wild how measured they are? I'd be like, F you, bitch. It's insane how he's like, why you're sending me a personal attack? And so it's just incredible. And by the way, these aren't just personal attacks. I mean, this is the lowest of blows. Listen to this.
This is supposed to be an oversight hearing.
Oversight?
Excuse me, you can attack me after my time is over.
You've attacked all of us, including President Trump, for your entire career.
You can attack me later, and I know you've...
She's a drunk. She's coming off like a crazy lunatic.
Got plenty of canned attacks. We've heard them all day to day.
Canned attacks on you?
This is supposed to be...
No one needs a canned attack on you.
Regular order, Madam Chair. I'm trying to speak.
Dude, I'd throw a water balloon at her. What are you going to do?
This is supposed to be an oversight hearing of the Justice Department. And it comes in the wake of an indictment called for by the president of one of his enemies. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing, and it comes in the wake of revelations that a top administration official took $50,000 in a bag, and this department made that investigation go away. This is supposed to be an oversight hearing when dozens of prosecutors have been fired simply because they worked on cases investigating the former president. This is, and now
What
the
about
current
the
president.
fires in California?
And
Do you
this
care
is
about that,
supposed to
Senator
be,
Schiff?
this is, excuse
She brings up the fires in California. I can't believe he didn't blow a lid. People died. Those fires had 100+ mile-an-hour winds. It was a once-in-a-lifetime event. A catastrophic loss for so many people. And she does whataboutism with fires. Pam Bondi, go fuck yourself.
me, this is supposed to be an oversight hearing in which members of Congress can get serious answers to serious questions about the
Are the
cover-up,
riots in
about the
LA
cover-up,
serious?
about
All right, so then she gets into the riots in LA. I mean, this is an absolute unhinged lunatic. I mean, I don't know where to go from there. Look, we have so much we didn't get into, but that's okay. We're just going to have to leave it right there. I tell you what, let's end on a fun one. Here we have White House Chief of Staff Stephen Miller. I mean, I don't know who's worse, Pam Bondi or Stephen Miller. He's a bad guy. He says something he shouldn't have said during a live interview, and then he freezes live on air. You have to watch this. This is insanity.
You've called the district judge's ruling blocking the deployment of National Guard in Oregon legal insurrection. Does the administration still plan to abide by that ruling?
Well, the administration filed an appeal this morning with the Ninth Circuit. I would note the administration won an identical case in the Ninth Circuit just a few months ago with respect to the federalizing of the California National Guard. Under Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has plenary authority.
He freezes. He just stops talking.
Stephen?
The guy goes, Stephen, hello.
Hey, Stephen, can you hear me?
I have the same response as the interviewer. He goes, Stephen, are you there? They can see him. The video's not cut out. He's clear. Listen, if there was an audio issue, he'd be like, I can't hear. He literally stopped himself from saying that the president has plenary power, which plenary authority is a complete and absolute power to take action on a particular issue with no limitations derived from the Latin term plenus, which means full. So, I mean, this is wild.
It seems, Stephen, I apologize. It seems like we're having a technical issue.
No, either he's having a stroke, either he's Mitch McConnelling right in front of you, or he realizes he shouldn't have said that. Now, they've got this crazy idea that because they won the election, it's democratic that they can just take the ball and run with it. No, the election gets you to the starting line of the race, and now we work as an effing democracy. What a goon. These folks are insane, guys. All right, that's it for me. I'll be back this afternoon. Hit the subscribe button, leave us a 5-star review, share us with a friend, and go check out my TikTok. We're going viral, baby. We'll see you then. I'm Dave. This is The Rush.